the CNN town hall with Amy Klobuchar was bad. In fact, it was atrocious. And usually I'll beat around the bush and I'll start off these analyses with a really long monologue, but I really don't need to sugarcoat it. This was awful. It was boring, and it was probably even worse than the Howard Schultz town hall because I could enjoy that for the sake of hate watching it, but with Amy Klobuchar, I'm just ambivalent overall. I have no feelings for her. I just felt the need to go to sleep immediately whenever I heard her say anything because she just drones on and on and on without really saying anything meaningful or substantive. And really, I don't know who is going to find what she's saying inspirational, who's going to feel motivated to come out and vote for her. And let me say something, because just telling you a little bit about myself should put things into perspective as to just how bad this was. I'm someone who, I cover politics for a living, right? I'm constantly politically engaged, and back when I was a PhD student, I was working for my professors, and I would enjoy doing even the most tedious processes. I would jot down, different voting results for individual precincts in the state of Oregon on spreadsheets for hours. I would create graphs based on, my professor's research and data and samples and whatnot. Basically, things that other more normal people would find obnoxious and tedious, I enjoyed. So really, it takes a lot to bore me. It takes a lot to get me to want to tune out. And this made me want to tune out. It was just unbearable. And I know that the response will be, well, Mike, look, she's a wonk. So of course she's going to talk, about really complex policy details and talk about things that are esoteric. I get that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be unable to simplify very complex policy details. Bernie Sanders does it. Elizabeth Warren does it. Tulsi Gabbard does it. But if you can't explain your position concisely, then you're not going to be effective at selling it to the American people, and as a result, you're going to be vulnerable in the general election against Donald Trump. And after hearing her speak now and being so just dreadfully bored, I am the most worried about her. And I hate saying that because it makes me sound petulant. It makes me sound like, I'm a kid and I can't do what adults do and listen to, the grown-ups speak. And I know that that's going to be the criticisms, but this was just bad. I think objectively it was bad. I mean, maybe it's subjective because I'm a progressive, but I think objectively people who are not engaged with politics will be turned off by watching this town hall. So to basically kick things off, this is how the town hall started. Someone who is a moderate Democrat asked, "Are you going to be the candidate for me?" essentially, and Amy Klobuchar enthusiastically answered, "Yes."
I'm a moderate Democrat with progressive leanings who believes in the American message of hope and opportunity for all. I am looking for a Democratic candidate who can make Donald Trump a one-term president and doesn't sacrifice a moderate vision to the leftist ideologies of outspoken progressives. I want to hear achievable goals that benefit minorities and the middle class now and are not pipe dreams for the future. Are you my candidate?
Yes, I am.
Sorry. How long has it been? 30 seconds. Okay. Whew. Almost fell asleep there. How exciting, Amy. Wow. And you know what that lady doesn't understand is she simultaneously wants to make Donald Trump a one-term president, which we all do, but she also wants a moderate. If you want Donald Trump to be a one-term president, then wouldn't you try something else than running another moderate? Because, I sound like a broken record, but we tried this a couple of years ago. Didn't work out too well. So wouldn't you naturally want to opt for someone who has the enthusiasm and momentum behind them? Like Bernie Sanders? Nope. I am a centrist or moderate with some political or progressive leanings, I think is what she said. Look, there's going to be a really niche crowd of people that Amy Klobuchar is going to appeal to, but certainly I can't see how she's going to get much support. So you all know, I mean, that kind of sets the stage for the entire town hall. She is a moderate, and proudly so. And kudos to her for not trying to bullshit us and just saying, look, I'm a moderate. Take it or leave it. I like that, right? I like that she is at least being a straight shooter there. But when it comes to really specific policy questions, you'll see that she's not a straight shooter. So the question of whether or not she supports tuition-free public colleges came up, and the person who asked the question asked her very specifically for a yes or no answer. And, of course, she couldn't give that to him, and Don Lemon had to ask her for a yes or no answer.
So I graduated from college in 2017, and I currently pay roughly the equivalent of my rent in student loans every month. And, I have friends that graduated 6 figures in debt. Here in New Hampshire, students graduate on average with the highest average student loan debt in the nation.
36,000 or something like that.
It's absurd. And so I'd like to ask you, would you be willing to stand with my generation and end the student debt crisis by supporting free college for all? And would you include undocumented and formerly incarcerated people in that program?
Okay.
And if you could please just preface your answer with a clear yes or no, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, let me answer you first of all. I think we have to do everything to help our students afford college. My idea is to make it easier to refinance. To start with your 2-year degrees, the community colleges being free. That's something that President Obama was pushing. There's a reason I'll get to why I'm starting there instead of 4-year. So I want to answer that question first for you. And let you know that I also had student loans, and when I married my husband, he had tens of thousands of student loans to make you feel better, but I married him anyway, all right? Okay, so here's what we need to do. The first thing is we need to make it easier to afford college. And you need to do that by making it easier to refinance these loans, by extending Pell Grants, so it includes more students. Those are simply grants, right? So if you extend those Pell Grants, that's going to make it even easier, because right now it's for a limited number of students, and I think we should expand it to more students. I think that we should do as much as we can with some of the other populations that you referred to. We've got to make it easier for people getting out of prison to afford going to school, you name it. But the other thing I want to talk about here is something, I know we're in a 4-year degree school, a great school, but you also have in Manchester a 2-year community college. And there's a lot of kids right now who are off the grid, right? They don't graduate from high school around the country, or they end up maybe barely graduating from high school. They accumulate debt in a 4-year college. Then they end up not being able to either finish that college, or they end up not being able to get a job that pays for it. So right now there are a big number of jobs that require certifications, 2-year degrees, everything from welding to technology to robotics, something big here in New Hampshire. I know Mr. Kamen with the Segway educated our whole country on robotics, and they require various degrees. So one of the things that I want to do is really have a big discussion in our country about what we do about kids that aren't graduating from high school, kids that don't get to the point of being at this great college, right? And how we get them into the certifications, the 2-year degrees, and make sure that we're paying for that, because our economy needs that, and then go from there. So thank you for your question.
So he did ask you yes or no. Would you support free college for all?
I am not for free 4-year college for all, no. Thank you.
So she's talking a lot, but she's not saying anything. And I don't know if you were keeping track of time, but it took her 3 minutes to finally say, no, I am not for free 4-year college for all. And she didn't explicitly say that until she was asked about it. She was asked for clarification. And I really think that the look on his face of the person who asked that question says it all. It tells you everything you need to know. Like, what a horribly disappointing answer. So let's look at what she supports. She supports free community college. She thinks that we need to make it easier to afford college. Well, I mean, how revolutionary. Even a Republican would probably tell you that. She says that we need to start by making it easier to refinance student loans and extending Pell Grants. I mean, this is all incrementalism that is not going to galvanize the base. Nobody's going to be excited to come out and vote for you, Amy. I can't see why you even felt the need to run if you're running on this gradualist, incrementalist, hyper neoliberal agenda. It's boring. Nobody is going to think, ooh, I should come out and support Amy Klobuchar because she's going to make it a little bit easier for us to refinance student loans. I'm still going to have this debt for the rest of my life, but at least I could refinance it. Now, she was asked a very specific question when it comes to the issue of healthcare and Medicare for all. And I love the person who asked this question because she really was trying to get a no bullshit answer. She said, look, every other country has Medicare for all. Every modern industrialized country has it. So why are we so special that we can't get it? And as you're going to see here, Amy Klobuchar takes about 2.5 hours to answer the goddamn question.
Why can't we have Medicare for all? I have heard all the excuses why we can't have it in our country, while all the other industrialized countries have it and it seems to work. What makes us the exception?
What has made us the exception? And thanks for that question, because what's been going on in this country is just wrong. You've got people that still can't afford their health care. You have people that can't afford their prescription drugs. And that's why I believe we have to get to universal health care in this country. And we have to make sure that we build on the work of the Affordable Care Act, which, by the way, was a major improvement. As you all know, people were getting kicked off their insurance for pre-existing conditions. I remember just last summer, a little kid in a parade in a small town with his mom, and she points at her little boy who has Down syndrome, and she said, this is a pre-existing condition. This is what a pre-existing condition looks like. And we fought that, and we won, and we protected the Affordable Care Act. But to me, it's a beginning and not an end. So what we need is to expand coverage so that people can have a choice for a public option. And that's a start, all right? And you can do it with Medicare. You could do it many ways, but you could also do it with Medicaid, something.
2 hours later.
If I can just jump in, because
Sure.
more to her question, which is about Medicare for all. You can applaud, which is a Medicare for all. What's your reservation about supporting Medicare for all?
Well, I think it's something that we can look to for the future, but I want to get action now. And I think the best way we do that is something that we actually wanted to do back when we were looking at the Affordable Care Act and we were stopped, was trying to get a public option in there. And that is a way, if you all remember that debate, that is a way to provide a public alternative that's real, even beyond the exchanges, so that we can bring down the rates. And then we can look at other options, but we have to start somewhere. And I think we can do that much more immediately.
So no Medicare for all.
It could be a possibility in the future. I'm just looking at something that will work now.
So if I didn't cut that clip down and edit it, you would have gotten 3.5 minutes of her droning on about healthcare policy without really saying anything meaningful that would actually substantially benefit the country in terms of healthcare. She, at the end there, when she was asked for clarification, she said that she supports a public option, but I'm actually doubtful that she genuinely supports a public option because she didn't actually say that until Don Lemon asked her for a follow-up after she talked about all these other incrementalist approaches to healthcare, like strengthening the Affordable Care Act. And she boasts about Obamacare as if, it was so great when, look, 30 million people were still uninsured, and Obamacare, even if more people got access to healthcare, they were still left underinsured. So was it a step in the right direction? Sure. But what we need is actually a Medicare for all system. Something that's similar to our neighbors north of the border in Canada because they love it. And if you'll notice something about countries that adopt Medicare for all or some type of national health system, once they adopt it, they never go back because it works out really well. So the fact that she's not opting for that and she's only trying to say, well, one day we can do Medicare for all. Look, just say it. We're never going to have Medicare for all. You agree with Hillary Clinton when she said Medicare for all will never ever come to pass. And I need people to understand something. When somebody says that they want to get to universal, that's code for I don't support Medicare for all, but I don't want to explicitly tell you that. And I'm trying to let you down easily. So don't be disappointed because I do support universal. So I hope you'll pick up on that buzzword. I mean, this was awful. Because I don't see how this can appeal to anyone. Now, sure, there's going to be a couple of people, like that lady in the audience who asked her, are you the candidate for me? Because I'm a moderate. But I mean, it's just, I can't, like, I don't get this, right? I'm puzzled that she would choose to run when she's not running on anything. This isn't what we want to hear from a leader. Obama got elected on hope and change. So if you're going to be the president and you're going to put incrementalism and gradualist reform front and center, then I can't see how you think that's going to behoove you, and especially how you think that's going to lead to Donald Trump being defeated. So I absolutely worry about her chances against Trump, but I'm not going to worry too much because I really would be surprised if she lasted long, in the primary, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to jinx it, but certainly to say that this was an unbearable town hall and very difficult for me to get through, that would be an understatement because I was bored to tears, and I'd probably guess that anyone else who watched it was also bored to tears.
Mike is a total loser, so don't hit the subscribe button, okay? And whatever you do, folks, do not hit the notification bell either. Mike treats me so unfairly.